Sometimes it isn't the avoidant who ends things. Sometimes the anxious partner, the one who has fought the hardest to keep the connection alive, who has tiptoed around the entire relationship, who has apologized for having needs, is the one who finally walks away. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's not a light decision. It's a last resort. The anxious person doesn't leave because they stopped loving the avoidant. They leave because they stopped recognizing themselves. Because no matter how many emotional acrobats they performed, their needs were met with silence, resistance, or even worse, gaslighting. Avoidants deactivate. That means when things get too close, too emotional, or too intimate, they pull away, they stonewall, they minimize, they shut down. And to someone with an anxious attachment style, that shutdown feels like abandonment in slow motion. Over time, the anxious partner becomes exhausted. They're stuck in a loop, trying harder, getting less, blaming themselves, then trying even harder, until one day the cost outweighs the hope. And then they leave. But this isn't a clean break, not emotionally. For the anxious person, leaving someone they love, even someone who has emotionally neglected them, feels like failure. Their core wound around being too much, not being enough, or needing too much has been triggered. So even as they walk away, they wonder, was I selfish? Did I give up too soon? Did I break them? Let me be very clear. No, you did not. Anxious attachment often comes from childhood environments where love was inconsistent, where emotions were managed to keep the peace, where being liked meant being small and selfless. So in adulthood, they become experts at reading the room, but struggle to feel entitled to take up space within it. If you're the anxious one and you walked away from an avoidant, it probably took months, maybe years of emotional starvation to get to that place. You weren't being selfish, you were being secure. Let's talk about what happens next. At first, avoidants feel relieved. The pressure is gone. They don't have to manage your emotions or their own. They might even tell themselves this was for the best. But that relief is temporary. Eventually, a deeper voice creeps in. The one that says, see, I'm not lovable. They left, just like everybody else. Being dumped doesn't just bruise the avoidant's ego, it confirms their internalized fears. And this is where things can diverge. Some avoidants spiral into self-pity or blame. Others reach a kind of emotional rock bottom, where the pain of losing someone they actually cared about becomes greater than the fear of intimacy itself. This is the pivotal moment. Some avoidants begin the work, real work, not reaching out to pull back in and then repeating old patterns. I'm talking about therapy, reflection, and accountability. But others won't. And that's not on you. You are not responsible for the wounds that they refuse to examine. You did not cause their inability to connect. You are not their emotional rehab center. And if deep down you still feel guilty for leaving, understand this. Sometimes avoidants want you to be the one to end it. That way, they get to avoid both emotional intimacy and emotional accountability. They get to say, you left, I didn't. But you didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because you finally started caring about yourself. And that is not selfish. That is healing. So if you were the one who ended the relationship, if you pulled the trigger on a connection that was starving you of affection, attention, and reciprocity, congratulate yourself. Because as hard as it was, you did the thing most anxious types struggle with the most. You held a boundary. You prioritized your needs. You chose self-respect over self-sacrifice. That's not a weakness, that's strength. And if the avoidant comes running back, changed or unchanged, remember this, their healing is not your responsibility, your peace is. And if you're someone that's looking to heal from a past relationship breakup, or get clarity in the relationship you're in, or you know you need to heal to become the person who can attract your dream partner now, and you're sick of waiting around, then click on the link below this video and you can apply for one of 5 calls with me where I can offer you some potential solutions to get you to where you really want to be. Act now and click on that link.